Alfonso is somebody who, if you meet him, you want to be his friend. um, whether you know him well or you don't know him well, Ken gives him a hard time with how much energy he has. That's not a bad thing. That's a fantastic thing. And when Ken gives him a hard time about that, it is with respect on so many levels. Alfonso is somebody who has started multiple $1 million per year revenue companies, multiple. He's a serial entrepreneur. And that means he's a little bit nuts, and that he started lots of companies that do really well. Because you have to be a little bit nuts to start so many companies. And again, I mean that with respect. What Alfonso is going to be talking about today is, hey, listen, we're in the middle of this COVID thing. Economy's doing crazy things. Pandemic's doing crazy things. It's affecting businesses. It's affecting economy. What do we do in a situation? So we want to talk about mindset. We want to talk about revenue. We want to talk about pivoting. We want to talk about what do you do in this atmosphere? If you're a small or large business owner and COVID is hit and you go, what do I need to do? So I'm gonna give you this really broad introduction. Alfonso, take it where you want. I'm positive this conversation is going to go in 10 different directions we haven't even talked about yet.
Mark, I love this. Yeah, you know what? It's true. I have a lot of energy because I just feed off people, feed off life, feed off ideas. I wake up every morning with $1 million idea, so I can drive myself pretty nuts.
Which is fantastic. I think you legitimately, you're going to bring so much value to people who are viewing things today.
Right. By the way, I appreciate you putting this together. You know, it's the doers and the people that are actually taking action during these times are the people that are going to be remembered, right? And it's not a matter of whether or not we're going to get through this. It's a matter of how are you going to look like on the other side? Are you going to be someone that was going to be remembered for being an action taker, being a beacon of hope, being a person that provided the useful information? And I think you're being that right now. And you know, for the people that are watching right now, you know, ask yourself that question. You know, like, because you know it's inevitable. We are going to get out of this. The question is, what are you going to look like at the other side?
Yeah. Are you going to be in the same position next time this happens or something like this happens? Or are you going to take action to be in a different situation completely? Now, I'm going to handle this webinar a little bit differently than other ones. Typically, what we've been doing is I say, people, ask your questions, but we'll cover them at the end. For this specific webinar, I'm simply going to cover questions probably as they come in, because we might go in many different directions. So I've interviewed Alfonso a couple times in the past, and I go off in different directions and he can go off in directions. So when you got two people doing that, we can go in many directions. So that's why I'm saying, hey, ask your questions whenever they come up, and I'll ask them as they come up. That's not a problem. All right. So go ahead, Alfonso. What do you do in a situation like today people find themselves in?
You know, the most important thing, and I'm going to give it to you in a few different stages, okay? And I'm going to come from life experience, exactly the way I process this and what I actually did. So I like to be, now people think I'm a big risk taker. You said it at the very beginning. You know, Alfonso has got multiple different companies, actually 11 companies, and all, you know, making, you know, millions of dollars in revenue. I've built multiple different companies. And what we didn't talk about are, you know, the failures, right? So, you know, I learned a lot from those failures, and I'm someone that, you know what, I can take from my failures and just make things better moving forward. Having said that, a long time ago, I wanted to find businesses that were Armageddon proof, right? Things that, you know, they could not be taken away. For example, that's why I got into real estate. A big, like, I guess the core of everything that I do comes from real estate. The reason is because that's, you know, I believe that to be Armageddon proof, right? Especially the way I invest. I mean, the asset class that I'm into, apartment buildings, mostly, it's Armageddon proof, in my view. Okay, so again,
so the first question is coming already. What's Armageddon proof? What does it mean?
Armageddon proof is just like a type of business that cannot be destroyed, indestructible, right? So a lot of other ideas that I have, you know, for example, retail. I started in retail about, 25 years ago selling clothes, but that's very vulnerable to the marketplace, different ways of delivering the product. And so I wanted to create businesses that were Armageddon proof. Now for me, I always thought, so the real estate is Armageddon proof, but I always thought my speaking business was Armageddon proof, because like, as long as you can't, you don't cut off my tongue or my ability to think, I said, well, I'm always going to be making this type of money. Now, my speaking business, my keynote business, workshop business, coaching and mentoring, I mean, that represents close to $1 million in revenue for me. And, for the most part, I enjoy it. I love changing lives. I love, talking to, I love talking in audiences, 3,000 or 5,000 people, 300 people, 10 people, one-on-one. It really doesn't matter, because I love it, and I get paid for it, and it's fun. Right. And, I thought that, Armageddon proof again, never thinking that a pandemic would ever be a situation that I would ever have to deal with. And so March 15th, I knew that the world would never be the same again. And in an instant, that business was zero, gone. All my entire calendar. Not that I'm proud of this, but I'm a 75K elite with Air Canada, meaning I flew last year, and pretty much every year, 75,000 miles, right? Meaning I'm traveling all across North America, helping people, change their lives, right? And I really enjoyed that. In an instant, that was gone. My entire calendar wiped clean, right? And in my mind, I said, and this is, we're going back to March 15th. And so how do I process this? What needs to happen? Well, first of all, forget about the speaking business, forget about some of the businesses that were going to be affected that are under my umbrella. There's the impact of, my tenants, my investors, my lenders, my employees. And I was outside of the city at that point. I was actually in Saskatoon looking at an apartment building. And I said, I gotta get back home. I gotta get back home. And so I went right into action mode, and pretty much communication with all my tenants, making sure that we were going to be on solid ground coming April 1st. Once April 1st came, it's kind of like, okay, now what are we going to do? Right. So April 1st came, we were like 98% collected. And, it was truly the apartment buildings were truly Armageddon proof.
Yep.
Now here's the process. Okay. Here's the emotions and you have to go through these emotions quickly, right? So step number one, you have to stand in your truth, right? And I knew from March 15th, life was not going to be the same again. That business, the way I knew it, was gone. Better forget about it. And I just came to terms with, you know what? I may not be on a stage till, the end of 2021. That's fine. Now what are we going to do? Well, there's other opportunities. There's online. I'm not a big tech person. We spend about 10 minutes trying to get on this call, right? But I had to force myself to learn, right? I remember 9/11, which was a mini contraction in business, and that was the first time I ever experienced that. Then moving into 2008, and now I was better experienced, and I could now go through that contraction, and I was able to capitalize. And so the first step is standing in your truth. Realize, just accepting what it is, and don't be in denial. Like you can't be there is positive thinking, but there's also such a thing as being in denial. Like, oh, it's gonna go back to the way it was, and everything's gonna be the same. No, you have to study human behaviors. And after 9/11, people didn't jump on a plane. Like they weren't eager to jump on a plane. Everything changed. The way we did things, the way we traveled, the way we went on vacation, everything changed from that day. After 2008, everything changed again. This is exactly the same thing. It just came in a different form. And so I needed to adapt and pivot and change the way I was thinking about things, and changing the way I was investing, changing the way I interacted with my employees. All my employees went to work from home, and I didn't lay anybody off. All my properties all across Canada, I didn't take a single deferral, because I was already in full action mode back in March 20th. I already had a full game plan on what this was going to play out. What would it look like if we had to go this way until 2022? Because it was a possibility, right? And it's still a possibility.
Yep.
And so I've been operating ever since. I'm gonna be I'm happy to report to you, Mark, that I've had my most productive time in the past 2 months. I've read 15 books. I've lost 30 pounds. My mind is clear. I was able to analyze each of my companies and just cut unnecessary expenses, making my companies more profitable. We had some challenges in some regards, but in some things took income hits, but then I was able to increase other activities. And so, and we talked about this, the power of multiple sources of income, right? That when something dries up, then there's these other sources that kind of helps you weather the storm. And so, coming to the realization that nothing will be the same, then going into action, getting ready for the opportunities that are coming. And that's pretty much how I've dealt with this situation.
Okay, good. Now I've been taking a few notes so that I can swing back to a few things myself, and I'm watching the question box here. One thing that you said was you need to take care of the immediate, act quickly, deal with your emotions, stand in your truth, and then ask yourself what's next. So what action am I going to take? Let's go back to the second of those. How do you deal? How's a business owner that is just lost $1 million of revenue in a year and is looking at that for the next 2 or 3 years or whatever it is? How does somebody deal with the emotions? Because I get the sense that you're saying you don't ignore the emotions, you deal with them. So expand on that a little bit more.
So standing your truth just means acceptance. You have to come to an acceptance that is gone, right? And I bring myself to the mindset of I'm starting from zero. Today is day one, right? Because the more I sit there and cry about what is gone, I have no energy left to focus on what we're gaining. And we are gaining massive things during this COVID experience. Before COVID, there's no way. I had 0 staff working from home. Now my entire staff is working from home, and guess what? More efficient, more productive. We get more things done, and so for the most part, moving forward, I'm gonna have. I would say I'm gonna cut down on the amount of staff that comes in and has to report to an office on a daily basis, right? That's a massive shift. And for me, we don't have that many employees. We got about 15 employees, but imagine on bigger companies, imagine the mindset, and imagine the global change that's going to happen. So realizing that there is going to be a global change, how can I position myself today to be able to not only grow with that, because guess what? It's day one. And we're all on the same playing field. When let's say I lost millions of dollars in revenue, okay, it's not like your life is any better than mine. The same wind blows on us all, right? We're all under the same circumstances. Someone in the US or someone in Australia, we're all like, there's no one better than anybody else, meaning we're all on the same playing field, meaning we now can all start at day one. And what's going to be the difference is the people that, rise and stop sulking and start doing, right?
Okay.
And that's what I meant.
Yeah, and this is a really important. I want to emphasize this again for everyone. What Alfonso is saying in essence is that, again, when we are in emotional crisis, when we're overwhelmed with emotion, that's okay. That happens. But if we feel it and we deal with it, not control it, not push it down, but if we deal with it rather than ignoring it, then what happens is we get over that fight or flight response, the situation where we're stuck or we're just running around in circles, and we get out of that quickly so that we can take action. That's exactly what Alfonso is saying, in a little bit of a different way here. Another thing that I constantly am teaching my clients, Alfonso, and I want you to pick this apart and add to it, take away, whatever. Another thing that I constantly say is you got to ask yourself 3 questions. You got to ask yourself, what went well? What went poorly? What can I do different next time? Just constantly asking yourself those 3 questions. What did I do well? What did I do poorly? Take responsibility for it, and what can I change? So
Absolutely.
how do you change in an environment where everything's changing?
Yes. And what you need to understand is everything will continue to be changing. This was just something that sparked a change, right? And there's going to be a chain reaction of multiple different things that are going to happen as a result. The problem is that we were stagnant for a very long time. Even though that the world was changing, there was people that were left behind. And so what this has caused is everybody to catch up to day one. And so moving forward. And we've been, people in the personal development world, and we talk about the mindset, the power of mindset. And they talk about, if you took the entire wealth on the planet, and you were to distribute that wealth evenly amongst the 7 billion people in the world, it wouldn't take long for that wealth to end up back in those pockets of the people that had it in the first place. And it's just simply the way they think. Yep. Right. And so you have to, and I've done several videos on this because now I'm online. I'm focusing on my YouTube channel. For those of you that are watching this, subscribe to my YouTube channel. But, I did this video on the top skills that you need to learn coming out of this COVID-19. Because if you are not coming out of this with a business idea, with millions of dollars, just like new skill sets, then what have you done? Watch Netflix? Come on, And so you have to get a return on investment on this time. And as you know, time is the most valuable thing that we have. And so we have been given the opportunity of time. We have been given time. Think about what a beautiful gift that is. Everybody's playing equally, right? Yeah. Everybody has been given time. And before we had, everybody's like, there's not enough time. There's not enough time. I can't look into that investment. I can't start that business. I can't write my book. I can't, learn that new skill because I have no time. Everybody's saying the same thing. But look at the beautiful gift we've all been given. We've been given the gift of time. And so I've narrowed it down. Now, there's hundreds of things that you can learn during this COVID time. But to get the maximum return on investment on this COVID time, I think out of this, you should come up with sales skills, public speaking skills, and leadership skills. Those are the top 3.
Okay, so break those down. I'm going to write them down again, just in case I want to circle back to them. But break those down. What are sales skills? How does somebody pursue? What are some practical things that they can pursue right now?
Well, as you know, I'm a big believer in sales, and I believe that everything in the world happens as a result of sales. Now, when I say that, people get confused because in their mind, they get this vision of that, guy trying to convince them to buy a car or whatever. Those are convincers. Those are not true sales professionals. Yeah. And so for the most part, if you have no proper sales training, you're going to be a convincer. And this is the perfect time to read on sales, master sales, learn the process of sales. How do you take a customer and turn them into a repeat customer by guiding them through a journey? And as you know, the top earners in our life in the world are salespeople. Yeah. And so you can have great ideas, but if you can't sell that idea, and sales is happening all around us. And we're putting on a youth summit in July. an online youth summit, and we can talk about that. But I'm big on, through our foundation, I'm big on teaching young people how to sell, even before COVID. But imagine just having that skill. And I always tell people, if you learn how to sell, you can get a job anywhere. You can do anything. And so, you know, especially now where things are changing or things are going online, people are going to somehow, they're not going to have those skills because you're just not working on them. But on a daily basis, you sell. But if you could master selling, you could be the master of the universe. Now, the second one kind of leads into the first one, public speaking. The ability to stand up in front of a group of people and just simply speak your mind or give your opinion. That is extremely powerful. And now more than ever, having the ability to speak online. I mean, how many Zoom calls are we doing? You know, like, and so there's proper etiquette on Zoom. There's way to interact, voice volume, pitch. You know, people used to look at you like this. Now they're looking at you like this. You must be more expressive. Learn all of these skills so when you get out there and you can start using them immediately. And lastly is leadership. Now more than ever, we need people to lead. We need people to lead their employees, their families, their communities, their cities, their countries. Leadership is more important now than it ever was before. You see, there's three types of people that are going to that you're going to see during this pandemic. The first kind, they're going to contract. They're going to contract, and they're going to just go into their little cubbyhole, and they're not going to come out until, you know, it's safe, right? Then there's going to be the second one, which is the spectator, right? They're just going to sit on the sidelines and watch all of this happen, watch people start businesses, watch people, you know, change their lives, and they're just going to be spectators, right? They're kind of neutral. And the last are the people that are going to expand during this time. And the people that expand are going to be the leaders that are going to bring massive amounts of followers, because they're out there. Someone like you, Mark, that is, you know, out there putting together summits, you know, getting people involved. Let's continue. Let's not contract. Let's not be a spectator, but let's actually take control of the situation, take full control, and now allow the situation not to, see, oh, there's a crisis or what. It is what it is. That's what can we do moving forward, right? And so that's what you're doing, and I definitely commend you for that.
Interesting. So we can go in 100 different directions here, and there are a couple of questions, but they're a little bit unrelated. So I'm going to hold off on a couple of the questions that have been asked. But
okay.
One question that comes up for me, a word that comes to mind in all three of those skills that you mentioned. You mentioned sales skills, speaking skills, and leadership skills. The connector for me, and I'm sure that there are other words that connect, is influence.
Yes.
Become somebody who influences other people. And if you look, to me, and I believe you agree with this completely, sales, we're practicing sales every day. Whenever your kid says, hey, I don't want to eat my broccoli, and you say, I think that this is a good idea too to eat your broccoli, you are selling. Now, you might be terrible at it, you might be good at it, but we're always selling. Sales in our daily life, only some of it has to do with money, very little. But the same skills that we learn to influence our kids, to influence our intimate partners, to influence our parents, to influence our clients and our customers, to influence anybody, it's still sales skills. Because sales, again, difference between manipulators or convincers and a salesperson is, do I listen? Do I know this person, and do I bring them value, versus do I look out for myself, right? And that skill of influence is what is applied to leadership and is applied to his public speaking. And that's a fantastic, I could not agree at all anymore. I think that this is the number one skill in life that anyone can learn, is influence. So I'm going to tell a really quick story because it comes to mind immediately. My kids, they both started multiple businesses. They're 9 and 11 right now. 11-year-old has started her third, son has started his second. And when I
Nice.
ask them, what is your favorite part about business? It brings me great delight that their answer is the selling, because that means that they're desiring to interact with and bring value to people. That's what I see. I've got a friend who's got a 4-year-old, and he lives on a golf course. We were there the last weekend, and they always have golf balls in their yard because everyone is horrible at golf, right? Only very few people are good. So he took out these golf balls, and my friend said to his son, "Hey, son, what should we be selling right now?" And he said, "We should be selling golf balls." And he said, "Okay, who should we sell to?" And he said, "That guy right there." So this 4-year-old picked up some golf balls. We gave him a couple of tips. He sold a golf ball for $20.
Oh yeah.
Now, he worked at it for a bit. He worked at it for 30, 40 minutes, but he sold a golf ball for $20. Then he sold another one for $2. And here's this 4-year-old who has no
Beautiful.
evil connotations to money or sales. He's
Yeah.
simply going, "Hey, do you want this? Do you need some more golf balls? If you do, here it is." And I think that that's a beautiful process that we can be teaching our kids and to practice ourselves so that we are becoming more influential with the people around us. Because this world, I agree completely, needs leaders.
Absolutely. But think about, the world before, right? No one had any time to do these things or work on these things or read these books, right? And now we have been given that beautiful gift of time to not only work on our businesses, but on our lives, right? And that's what I've done in the past 2 months. These 2 months have been the most productive time. It has been the most productive time in my life, and I'm grateful. I'm truly, truly, truly grateful, because it's easy to get it's easy to just kind of get into a routine, right? And there was things that I could have been doing more, but I was caught up in that routine.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And I remember saying this to someone. I don't think I would have made a conscious effort or conscious decision on my own to slow down.
Yep.
Slow down the traveling so I can focus on the businesses and focus on everything that I got going on. And on family, right? And so, because, I was doing good. It was everything was good. I was still living my dream life, but, sometimes the world just needs to breathe a little bit, right? And I think, this pause, it was needed for a lot of people, and just to take a little bit of a deep breath, like, hey, you know what? Let's review where we're at, right? Let's see where we're at, and do we still want those same goals, right? That's what I went back to about a month ago, and I realized, wait a minute, hold on, my goals have changed, when 2021 or whatever they start doing events again, I may increase my prices, because I may not want to go out as much, right? And so it has to be extremely worth it for me to let go of what I'm building now, because I'm loving where I am right now. I love the headspace. I love the ease of it. I love how my staff is operating. I love how the family's getting together. I love every aspect of it.
So if we're willing to pay attention, this pause can be brilliant. So we've got 2 questions that came in. The first question, and they're related, so I'll ask both at the same time. The first one says, what books would you recommend for sales, or how do I learn more about sales? And the second one is related in that it says, how can I best use this time? How can I best use this time to grow myself?
Okay, so I would approach life the way I did it was a whole life approach, right? So you know what? I was, in my view, I was about 30 pounds overweight, right? I had gotten to a point. I'm traveling all across North America, inspiring people, changing lives, but I'm not taking care of my health, right? I'm not drinking enough water. I'm not walking enough. I'm going from plane to plane, right? And so I took a whole life approach, right? I said, like, what do my finances look like? What is my my education? What does that look like right now? What is, we talk about this wheel like a pizza, and then you just you kind of like name each slice would be, a category in your life, like social contribution, spirituality, health, wealth, family, relationships. All of them all of them have something. And I'm willing to bet that before COVID, there was some parts of your life that were being neglected. And so what I did was I just looked at my entire life and I said, how do I make this whole again? How do I make this better? Right? Not that I was I had any cholesterol problems or anything, but you know what? I could lose some weight. There's nothing wrong with that. And I went out, and if someone wants to know how I did that, a lot of my journey, I've documented my journey on YouTube. They can go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. I have a video. I lost 20 pounds in 20 days without exercise or dieting. And it was just really powerful how I kind of came about this whole strategy. And I may write a book one day. One quick sales book, I would say, it's only because it's right beside me. I would say, get this book on sales, the DNA of Selling by Patrick Henry Hansen.
I haven't read that, actually. Book. I've read a lot of sales books, but I haven't read that one.
Oh, it's so good. It's so good. I really, actually, I would be interested in your opinion on it. But they take moments in history, and they show you how his ideology kind of fits into those moments in history. It's really, 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 really great.
So again, the broader idea of selling, in that it's influence. It's not simply money at every point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to purchase it right now while we're on the call. Okay. Why waste any time? So going back to that, so you're saying one thing to do with your time is analyze every area of your life and ask, what have I not been putting time towards?
Yeah.
What can I invest time in right now? Okay. And then the DNA of selling.
And that's what I did. Like, after I accepted it, you cannot analyze if you haven't accepted yet. If you're not standing in your truth, if you're not accepting, if you're still in denial, things are going to get better. Well, there's no real motivation for you to do anything different. Why would you? Right? So once I came to acceptance, I brought myself to zero. I brought myself to day one, right? I brought myself to, like, okay, everything is gone. Today is day one. What do I do now? Right? And so I looked at my entire life, and I said, these are the things that I need to work on right now. And I went on that journey. And 2 months later, I'm looking back, I'm like, wow, like, I really impressed myself because, everything that I've been talking about for people, I've been telling people to do certain things in their lives. I'm doing it. I'm living it, and I'm getting the results.
Yeah, good, excellent. So I just purchased the book. We're good to go with that. We'll continue to grow. Another question that came in, it's unrelated, but I'll ask it here simply because it's there. Is what types of businesses do you own?
So I have businesses in multiple different industries. What I always tell people, if you are going to focus on multiple streams, they should be symbiotic, right? And looks like I have something burning there. The family's in the other room, and so they're burning down the house. No, I'm just joking. But I just heard the alarm. I don't know if you caught it on.
We heard it a little bit.
Yeah. So, what was the question?
Sorry, the change of thought. The question was that what types of business do you own?
Okay, so I have several different businesses. One is my coaching, mentoring, speaking business, where I coach people on businesses, building businesses, life, and real estate, right? I have a property management business. I have a maintenance business. I have an electric vehicle business. I have a media business where I publish online and offline and actual hard copy magazines. We have books. We have a foundation, the Cuadra Youth Foundation, which I operate as a business because the end result, it's not millions of dollars. The end result needs to be millions of lives changed, and there's metrics, and I'm this is something that I'm passionate about. I have the real estate investment firm and my holdings.
Good. Now, we were just talking, we've talked about so many of the ideas already that you're mentioning here over and over. And this is really, really important because I hope the repetition of what we've been talking about sinks into people. You've heavily invested in yourself. And I've heard you talk many times about how that prepares you. So in context here, you've talked about how you were able to quickly pivot and able to make quick decisions and relax and reanalyze life and have this is the most productive 3 months of your life because you've been prepared. Talk about that preparation a little bit. How have you prepared? How does somebody start that journey if they've started or they need to start?
I often get this question from sometimes from my students where they're like, okay, we already learned that about this. I don't know why we have to review it, right? And I've always told people, to be a true master, you have to be a master of the basics. Mm-hmm. And I believe that with my entire heart. And it's just like that old Karate Kid movie, right? It's like, paint the house, wash the car, and the student didn't know why he was doing something. And he was over and over and over and over. He couldn't understand until one day, he got upset and he kind of like was protesting to Mr. Miyagi. What's his name? Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah.
And he said, "Well, am I gonna just clean your house or fix your house the whole time?" And then he's like, "I want to learn karate, and we haven't learned anything about karate." And he said, "Paint the house." And then Miyagi went to punch him, and then he was ready. Right? Mm-hmm. Not knowingly, he was ready. Mm-hmm. Not knowingly, that repetition helped him, actually master something that he didn't even know he was mastering. Yeah. And so that's what investing in yourself is. I go to every program, every seminar. I'm reaching out to coaches. There's a program that actually have on my part of my on my vision board that cost about $200,000. And this is something that if it wasn't for, what happened right now where, people have been kind of like displaced, I would definitely be investing in. And so you have to invest in yourself. Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that is truly Armageddon proof. Mm-hmm. If we get down to it, the investment in yourself, no one can take away. No one can take away. Mm-hmm. I read this book 3 times. It's in here. No one can take that knowledge away. It's already there. In fact, the second you put in more books, how many books can you put into your mind, right? And once it's there, and you may or may not use the information, but there's going to come a time where you're using it without even knowing it because there's so much repetition. Maybe I read it in this book, maybe it was in this book, maybe it was in this book. Who knows where I'm getting my inspiration from? And at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because I'm living the results. That's what matters.
Yeah, I'm going to summarize this again in a different way, and feel free to take away from this if I've got it wrong, Alfonso. But one thing that I hear you saying is if you can get in the headspace, if you could enter a mind greater than mine, if I could enter a mind greater than mine and get into their head and understand some of their thoughts, what would the value of that be? Well, that's what books are. That's what mentorship is. That's what coaching is. That's what seminars are. When you enter into other people's headspaces, you start to be influenced by their thoughts. And so who cares where it comes from? I hear people, like my background's psychology. So I'm always like references and citations and things like that's kind of my academic destroying of my mind. Okay. But
Yeah, yeah.
I hear a lot of people speak, and I'm guessing you're similar to this, where Alfonso, you will just say something. It doesn't matter who it's from. It doesn't matter whether it's quoted perfectly or not. If it helps somebody, say it and do it and think it. And it doesn't
Yeah.
matter if it comes from this book or that book, or you've got it straight in your head. If it's helping you and it's helping you grow, that's what matters. Correct?
Absolutely. 100%. And just get as much from it, right? I always get a lot of my students, they're like, well, I went to this particular person, I can't remember who the next guru is. And I feel bad because I'm working with you. I'm like, no, you just know, work with everyone, do anything, like get as much as possible. I'm doing the same for myself, right? It's like, I'm not going to stop growing just because I'm a coach, a mentor, and I'm in a leadership position. The second I stop growing and reading and learning, this is the second that, maybe no one should take any of my coaching anymore. Right. Exactly. And because you're going backwards. Right. Exactly. And I'm about expansion. Right. I'm all about expansion. We talked about those three types of people: the people that are going to contract, people that are going to be spectators, and people that are going to expand. Yeah. Well, a spectator, to me, that's someone that's contracting anyways, because if you're not growing, you're dying. Yeah. Right. You cannot expand and contract at the same time. And so why not every day, whether it's COVID, whether it's something else, whether it's Heineken virus, whether it's whatever type of virus, it doesn't really matter, as long as you know that, whatever happens, you're going to be all right, because you are that person that thrives during these type of situations. Then you can walk amongst this earth happy, right? Knowing and have confidence that nothing can, come and blow you off of blow you away, Yeah.
I think Andrew Carnegie said something along the lines. He said, empty your purse into your head. Because when you empty your purse into your head, it cannot be taken away. It will give you the highest return of investment, basically. And I agree with that completely. Okay, we got another, not really a question, a thought. Somebody mentioned the Sandler's sales training. And I've heard Sandler sales training from a number of different sources. I've actually not taken it. Do you have any experience with that? Because I've heard really good things.
No, I have not, but I will write it down.
Yeah, and Ken has mentioned it before, and he said that it's fantastic as well. So see, this is a great example. You're watching a man who likes to learn and study. He's looking desperately for a pen so he can write it down.
I'm looking for a pen. I'm looking for a pen. Okay.
So this is something that I'm going to point out.
Damn these electric pens.
So this is something that I'm going to point out too, and this is something that I see in successful people consistently. When somebody hears about or comes across an idea that they see value in, they take quick action. They don't mess around. They go, okay, I'm gonna follow up on this right away. I'm not gonna wait for weeks or months or think about it for years and years. I'm gonna go back to that expansion, contraction, watching thing. I've heard this explained in different ways too. I've heard people say those are people who make things happen, people who things happen to, and then some people go ask the question, what the hell happened? And it's kind of the same idea of, wait a second, you've got a choice here. In the 1930s, that's when the greatest wealth transfer in the United States has ever taken place. And there was another great one in 2001, and there was another great one in the early 80s, and there was another great one in 2008, and there was another great one that's happening right now, is what you're saying. If you act now in these times where people are confused, what does Warren Buffett say? When people get scared, I get a little bit greedy. When people get greedy, I get a little bit scared, right? Take action when everyone else is deer in the headlights.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's something about decision making that is powerful, right? The second you decide that that's it, things are not going to be different. This is the way it is. Get used to it. Now you can move forward. You see, there's a difference the way successful people make decisions and versus unsuccessful people, right? And there's nothing wrong if you've been making decisions the wrong way, but there is value in learning how successful people make decisions. And successful people make decisions quickly, and they change their minds slowly, right? The second the second they decide, boom, that's it. They're in it for the long. Like, March 15th, I made a decision that I wasn't going to worry about whatever I lost. I was going to focus on what was I going to gain during this time, right?
Okay.
Versus unsuccessful people that take forever to make a decision, right? So people are still having processed this COVID-19 thing. Sometimes I even forget that it even exists because I'm already living my life. I'm already it's already behind me, but people are still processing. And there's nothing wrong if that's you, but there's people that just sit on the fence for their entire life. And then when they make a decision, they change their mind quickly. You watch some of these people at restaurants, like they can't even choose an item on the menu. It just drives you nuts, right? And so there's a way, there's a quickness, there's a take action type of behavior that successful people, showcase. Like, this is the way I make decisions, and that's it. That's all. And so, learn from that. Become that. Do it. Try it. It's habits, right? The second you maybe you got to work at it. You know what I mean? But stop sitting on the fence. A great book, I would say, is the 5-Second Rule.
Oh yeah,
it's about decisions. Yeah. I mean, it's a great book for people, and even for me. I had to tell myself, you know what? Like, no matter how successful I was, yes, the 5-second rule.
So people can see it if they need to.
Yeah. It's amazing, right? It's amazing, and it's just such a simple concept, right? In 5 seconds, you should be able to decide whether you're going left or right, whether it's a hot dog or hamburgers or whatever, anything else just eats up mental resources that, if you spend all your time on small little decisions, you exhaust yourself, and you have no more energy left to make the big decisions that count in your life.
So focus on the decisions that matter. So a question came in, and that is, what separates people from the people who make decisions quickly and those who don't make decisions quickly? How do you get better at that?
Most of the people that are successful base all their decisions on where they're going.
I was going to say the exact same thing. I knew where you were going.
Right? And versus everybody else makes their decisions based on where they are.
Yes. So circumstances versus goals.
Yeah. So March 15th came, and I already was operating based on 5 years from now. Like, everything I'm doing is going to be based on 5 years from now, or even 10 years. And so, and even one of the greats said it best, Wayne Gretzky. He said, the reason why I'm so successful at hockey is because most of the people skate towards the puck. I skate towards where the puck is going.
Yes.
Right. And that is, as simple as that is, you'd be surprised during this COVID time. Everybody's making decisions based on how they feel right now, based on what they lost, based on what they have left. They're not operating based on where they're going. And so something so simple as in establish where you want to go. Where do you want to be as a result of this COVID? How do you see yourself 5 years from now? And, go into the future and grab that vision of yourself and bring it to the present and start operating as if you are already there.
Good. So I'm going to make a statement here, and I want your feedback on this to give your thoughts. I've heard wise people say at different times, the longer term somebody thinks, the more money they make. So the people who earn minimum wage talk about how much they make an hour, and people who earn a salary sometimes talk about how much they make a paycheck or a month. And then people who make millions or even more dollars talk about year, 5 year, 10 years plans. I mean, Elon Musk has decades long plans that he doesn't even think he's going to be around for. Again, that's something that separates successful people from those. It's actually counter-human. We've evolved to think short-term because that helps us in the moment, and that has helped us in the past. But we're living in a day and age where it no longer helps us, and we have to train our minds to think further in the future. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, so I agree 100%. The only thing I would add would be, once you establish what that future is for you, No matter how far ahead, you have to bring that to the present and reach into the future and bring it to the present, right? And, even with our clients, we had to reach into the future and bring future revenues to the present, right? And I think you still have to live in the present, which is important. You have to live in the now. But what is your now? What is your version of now? And my version of now is 5 to 10 years from now. And I'm operating based on that Alfonso versus where I am today physically.
Good. I'm going to interpret that in a different way. And I don't know if I even am getting this right, but again, correct me where I'm wrong here, Alfonso.
You're usually right.
One thing, that's just because I repeat what you say in a different way. One thing that I'm hearing is you saying, listen, have those long-term goals, but don't get lost dreaming about them. They're not simply off in the future. If that's called an addiction or a fantasy land, if you simply dream about them, you're saying you need to bring them and ask constantly, think about, how am I bringing this to my reality now? How am I moving forward in this? Because if it's simply a dream, it's great. It's a great way to waste a few minutes, but then it's the same as playing a game online or whatever. It's not bettering you in any way, shape, or form. Any thoughts?
No, I agree 100%. There's power in, for sure, thinking about something, visualizing about something. There's also power in writing your goals down, and it's been proven scientifically. The second you write something down, it becomes more real than if you didn't. Okay. And then if you put a date on it, and it becomes even more real. But what makes it even more powerful is your actions today, right? And so how do you operate today based on that, right? Now, this is where I like, in my mind, I said, okay, well, the way we operate it has to change if we're going to be able to grow and fit the new world, which is 5 years from now. You see, what COVID-19 did is it made us realize how technology can actually connect us, and we can actually be more productive. Behaviors will change as a result of this. A lot of other companies have already announced that they're going completely working from home, 100%, their entire staff, ongoing for the rest of the history of those companies, like Shopify, Twitter. And so behaviors will change. That means people are going to be home. And think about it. People commute to their work an hour a day, an hour back. That's 2 hours a day. And we've been doing that because we just didn't know any better, right? We knew there's technology, we knew this, but nobody wants to, because we're dinosaurs. Nobody, everybody's trying to hold on to this old way of being, right? And now what has happened is it has forced everybody to change. And those are going to have results that are going to better humanity. I was at the bank, and there was an older person, 93 years old or whatever, in front of me at the new lineups that we have to do, the social distancing type of lineups. And he was so proud that for the first time he was able to do online banking, right? Imagine the global shift that is happening right now. And imagine how productive we're going to be in 5 years from now, once all this settles and people just accept, right? And they can have instead of commuting an hour to work and commuting an hour back, they can get 2 hours back of their life to do other things, right? Spend time with their kids, learn new skills. And so, most of the time people just don't think about the new world that we're entering, and they continue to just operate and hope that everything's going to go back to the way it was.
Right. Right. And that's again coming back to the contraction expansion versus watching,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
idea that you're talking about. So I want everyone to pay attention to this. Our next speaker. So we actually should probably go pretty quick here because this next speaker is also technologically challenged. I'm going to have to spend some time with him. So this guy is so close to being a billionaire that it's almost ridiculous that I shouldn't say he is. Okay. And if you listen carefully, he's going to be saying almost the exact, because I've prepared this talk with him, he's going to say almost the exact same thing Alfonso has been telling you guys. So pay attention to this, okay? And so I was just talking with him. He was just talking with, in an earlier webinar, he called me and said, Mark, is anyone talking about sales? We've got to talk about sales. This is so important that we talk about sales. And I said, yeah, you know what? Alfonso's going to talk about it, but talk about it again, because it's so important that people have that repetition from different sources. If Ken's saying it and I'm saying it and you're saying it and Brian is saying it, then people get far more value out of that, I believe. So pay attention to this, okay? Another thing, there are hints. If you're paying attention, if you've read more books, there are hints. Alfonso's referring to other ideas that other books have talked about, like Think and Grow Rich. And if you pay attention, Brian is going to talk about that as well, and in almost exhaustively, because he's read it so many. He says he's read it 500 times. And the repetition helps him so much of the time. He says, I've earned another $1 million every time I read that book. But I want everyone to pay attention to that. I don't have any other questions right now. If anyone else has other questions, feel free to send them in, because we're going to shut down here pretty quick. Alfonso, is there just as we're waiting here for another question or two, what do you want to leave people with as they think about COVID, as they think about pivoting, as they think about change, as they think about developing themselves and dealing with the emotion and living within the now with who they are, their truth, and then moving forward? Any final thoughts or any summary that you want to wrap up with?
I want to end it off with the way I started. And it's very simple. You know, we as a humanity, we will get through all of this. Here is a question you need to ask yourself. At the other side of this cycle, what are you going to look like? Are you going to be someone that expanded, that has new skills? Or did you contract, or you were just simply a spectator? It's up to you.
Yep. It absolutely is up to us. Okay, I don't see any other questions. Alfonso, you gave us an hour of your time. Thank you so much for that. It's a gift to people. Yeah, I hope people appreciate it. But let's go forward. If you want contact information for Alfonso, or you want to follow him, Alfonso, you mentioned a YouTube channel. Give your contact information and ways people can start following you or reaching out to you.
Yep. So I'm on all social media platforms. I'm everywhere. But I would highly encourage everyone here to go on YouTube, subscribe to my channel. So since March 15th, I just started doing videos, and you know, I grew the channel. We increased it by 600 subscribers since March, because before I should have been doing these videos. You see, should have, could have, would have. You know, but now I'm as I'm moving forward, I'm going to be more online. And so you can find me on TikTok, Instagram, Alfonso Cuadra. Google me. I'm very Googleable. And connect with me. You can send anybody here if they were interested in anything that I said. If they want to connect with me, info@alfonsocuadra.com, info@alfonsocuadra.com. And just right on the title, you know, you connected through this. What was the name of the summit? Financial literacy? Yeah, so financial literacy, that could be the title or whatnot. Yeah. I would highly encourage people to check out the foundation, Cuadra Youth Foundation. And we are very much focused on financial literacy for young people. QuadraYouthFoundation.com. QuadraYouthFoundation.com. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, whatever. Support us. If you know, when we get back, we're going to do in July, we're going to do a youth summit, and for the ages of 12 to 17. And yeah, it's going to be big.
Good. I was just typing into the chat box, so everyone has Alfonso Cuadra in there. I've spelled your name correctly. I've got the Quadra Youth Foundation in there, so feel free to engage with that and contribute. Yannick said would love to contribute to the Youth Foundation Summit in July. Yeah, know that Alfonso is a really approachable person. And connect with him. He offers value consistently, so connect with his social media, and I know that you will be benefited. Alfonso, thank you so much for doing this. You're a gift to these people, and I know that they appreciate. So thank you so much.
And I appreciate you, Mark, very much.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend here.
All right, my man. Take care.
We'll see ya.